Hi, welcome, and today we're going to be talking about the engineering design process. First, I want to take a second and think, what is an engineer? There are many different types of engineers out there in the world. We have some that build rockets, others that build circuits and electrical units, some of them create video games, and others build different things like buildings. But each engineer does something very similar. They all do one thing. They all build or create. So our engineering process, if we think about it as a more literal term and break down the words, is just a steps or a process that people take when they're building or creating or designing. It's the same set of guidelines that every engineer follows. It doesn't matter what type of engineer you are. All engineers follow this, or even if you're an amateur engineer, you can follow this and take it step by step. So if we think about what are the different steps to the engineering process, it must be a very complicated thing because building things are very complicated. But in actuality, it's fairly simple. The engineering process that we use has 5 steps in it. Our first step is to simply ask questions. What are the problems that we're trying to solve here? What are the constraints or the limitations that we're trying to solve? What are we trying to accomplish by completing or building this new product? Once we ask ourselves the questions and have an understanding of what problem needs to be solved, we move on and we start to imagine ways that we can accomplish and solve this problem. We brainstorm ideas, we collaborate with our group members or our team, and we choose the best one. After we have an idea of how we're going to solve this, we move on and we begin to plan. All engineers have a plan. The best way that I can think of or describe it is kind of like Legos. Whenever you get a new set of Legos, there's always things that come in it. There's a diagram that shows you how to build what is on the box, and you have the needed materials. You have all the pieces that you need. You don't need to go out and buy a different 4x4 block or 2x2 block. Everything that you need is in the Legos. And this is what we do during the planning phase. We draw out our diagram or our blueprints and we gather the different things that we need. So if we're building a circuit, we know that we're going to need a battery, some wire, and a light bulb or whatever it is that we're trying to turn on. More advanced circuits might require things like switches, resistors, and all this, but we decide what is going to be needed during this planning stage. From here, we move on, and this is the part that we enjoy the most, where we're creating what we're trying to do. We're following this plan, all these blueprints that we set out. We're following it step by step. We're not jumping ahead and trying to complete other things. Instead, we're going in order and following our process. And then we begin to test it out. Does this work? Are there ways that we can improve this? What needs to be better? And that leads us into our next one where we're improving it. We're discussing what are some weak areas. If we're designing a video game, what was fun? What is not fun? Or if we're designing a rocket, maybe we could get more thrust at certain parts, or maybe we need to dial it back so that things don't break. And from here, we go back into the beginning of our steps and we ask these problems. What problems is our new invention having, and how can we make it better? What are the constraints? What are the limitations? Then we imagine new ways, plan out how we're going to do it, create this new plan, and then reevaluate our process or our product. Anyways, this was a quick intro into the engineering design process. I hope that you got something interesting out of it, and now you can understand how to think more like an engineer. Thank you. Have a great day.